Hey Flosstube, Anna, aka Mirabilia, back with another stitching update. It is Saturday, May 8th. Welcome to anybody who's new. Welcome to anybody returning. If you are new, this is a channel all about cross stitch, and in particular, the month of May, we do Maynia. My idea of Maynia is 4 new starts in the month. So for each of the 4 weeks, I will have a new start, and I work on that start for the entire week, and then I will put it away for the next one. Get back to it eventually someday. So without further ado, the start for last week was the Kooler Design Studios. I think Sandy Orton was the original designer. Paradise Floral sampler. So I will insert a picture of what this should look like when it's all finished. And since my last video, I think all I did was get one last little thread of orange up there after the Friday night at the community center. So that's where it will get put away for another day and go on the regular wheel of whips to do at some point when I feel like it. So yeah, pretty pleased with the amount of progress that we got on that. This was just a plain old 32 count, we decided. That makes it Belfast linen from my stash. Was labeled as 36. That problem will make a reappearance. In fact, we might as well do that now. So the other part of the Maynia, the way I'm doing it this year, I do the project for the week, and then at the start of the week, I spin what will be the following week's start. So today, being the Saturday, I spun next week's start. And I will have to insert a picture. The wheel picked pandemic. And I was excited, and I thought this would be great. And then I realized I had the same 36 count fabric slotted for pandemic. And we have since discovered that's 32 count. Now I have done my floss calculations based on a 36, so I only needed 1 skein of the silks for you, or 1 hank of the silks for you. And now I don't have a piece of genuine 36 that's big enough to accommodate pandemic. So I won't be able to start pandemic, which is a pain in the butt. So I was kind of looking forward to that. Yeah, so unfortunately that spin we've had to discard. And then I went and spun again. And I didn't take a screenshot that time, you'll have to trust me. It pulled up Santa's Magic. And I thought, yay! Except that I realized I'd picked this fabric for Santa's Magic. I'm going to change the coat to a gray blue and do him on this color fabric. But I knew full well when I kitted this up that this specific piece of fabric is too small for him. I just wanted it in there as a reminder of what fabric I was going to buy a larger piece of. This is Frost by Number 12 Stitch Company here in Australia. And it's just a lightly mottled, there is some modeling, lightly mottled sort of blue-gray. And I thought that'd be perfect, change him to a sort of a blue-gray robe and, you know, have a bit of a non-traditional Santa. I thought that was going to be awesome. Thwarted by the wheel. So, spun again. Not happy Jane, because both of those would have been like super cool. And I spun the Bonsai and Buddha kit. So obviously it's kit. I've got everything I need for this one. I can't argue that I can't do it because I don't have the stuff. This kit does come with printed Aida. When I get around to doing dimensions and stuff, I think I'll just swap it out for a hand-dyed. Maybe I'll do it on the Aida. Kind of depends what I feel like. Yeah, I could do it on the Ada. I don't know. I don't often stitch on Ada, but I do occasionally. But, you know, I was, after having 2 other spins that were like, oh yeah, cool. And then this one I'm like, okay. It's not anywhere near as cool as the other 2. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go digging through my Rit die. Because even though this piece is not big enough, I do have large enough pieces of 32 count that I could dye fabric for him. Something similar to this, so that I could start the wheel's second choice, Santa's Magic. Excuse me. Obviously, that requires a little bit of prep work on my part, so tomorrow my stitching might not get as much attention as it would because I'll be dyeing fabric, trying to figure out exactly what shade of blue-gray that I can make out of my dyes. I've pulled royal blue Rit dye, pearl gray Rit dye, and hyacinth, I think. And so between those 3, we're going to try and make up something that's pseudo along the lines of this one. So that's the plan. I'll also need to do some, once I work out what fabric I have, go back to the DMC chart and try and work out what I'm going to do about the colors in his robe to pull the DMC for his robe. I am hoping that the rest of him I can leave as charted and only replace the colors in his robe and stuff. Now, I'm pretty sure, yep, his beard and stuff, there's a lot of the whisper threads in there. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do whisper threads or just in a white. I've heard nightmares about whisper threads, but I haven't actually used them. The only other pattern that I had that genuinely called for them was Tinctorium for the little fluffy bunny tails, and it was like a grand total of 2 stitches per bunny. 1, 2, 4, 8 bunnies, so 16 stitches of whisper, and I figured I'm not buying an entire card of whisper thread for 16 stitches. So I just replaced that one with white. And I totally get why they would use whisper, you know, for the beard. I'm just not sure if I want to suffer through that much whisper or not. I've heard absolute nightmares about that stuff. So, the other thing is, if I do decide to go with the whisper, I can't do those bits because I don't physically have it here, and I imagine that will take some time to get here with the way supply sourcing is going at the moment. But, so, we're going to aim to start Santa's Magic, and the backup will be the Bonsai and Buddha kit. Stay tuned next week to see which one it was. But at least I'm trying to follow the wheels idea. Did a pretty good job. Last week, the wheel spun Electra, which is a Nora Corbett. It's one of the big witching pixies. Yeah. This has, the only specialty one in that is the moon. There's an optional Krynic, which I will not use. There is one DMC floss in here. I think it's 971. That's a discontinued color. So I've just used the suggested replacement, or I've just pulled that. I haven't actually stitched it in yet. And I believe this is also the chart where several people have told me Mill Hill has had a dye lot change in one of their beads. It's very red in the photos and when it was originally charted, and it's very black now. So we'll need to keep an eye out for that when I get as far as beads, although my guess is I will end up either using beads from my stash or possibly buying Delicas or something if I don't have the right color on hand. We shall see. So that's what we're focusing on this week. And I started this morning and just trying to make sure it's going the right way up. We've gotten that far. So you can see the wispies off her dress. I'm trying to go down here and just make sure that last trail of her dress, we've got enough fabric. I'm pretty sure we'll be safe, but you know, always feel better once you get to the far extent to know. That is a bucket load of black stitching. It's a good thing I bought a cone. I think this chart only calls for 3 skeins, but you know, it's a bucket load of black. There is one, that little bit is in 898, so a dark brown. That was my one strand of relief from black stitching. Yes, I expect the first few videos for this episode will be a lot of black stitching. This fabric, this gorgeous piece of fabric, is a 32 count under the sea called Anubis. And obviously it was part of a bigger piece, so she will only take up about half of what I bought. So I have another half for another piece another day. So that is where we're at, what we've started for the week. I will probably not get a great deal of stitching done for the rest of the evening, but I will come back tomorrow with an update of how far we've gotten. And maybe a spoiler on how I did with that fabric. We'll see. All right, talk to you then. Today, Flosstube. It is Sunday, May 9th, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And clearly I am not in my she shed. We are doing another one of these updates on the road. And I'm keeping a very evil eye on a bin chicken right over there. Can I get him in the camera? Hey. There you can see him. I don't trust those buggers. Anyway, minor sidetrack. We're doing our update in town because, yeah, basically I'm playing taxi this afternoon. And I am hoping to get that fabric for Santa's Magic dyed this Savo. I had intended to do it first thing this morning, but I was thwarted by the fact that my eldest daughter nicked off with the sewing machine, and so then I couldn't serge or overlock the edges of the fabric. So I will switch this around and show you where I've gotten to with Electra. It's a bit, excuse me, every time I cough the camera shakes. Bit windier out here today, so hopefully this doesn't blow around too much. So you can see how far I've gotten with Electra. I have gotten all the way out. Oh, holding it so I don't get fingers all over the lens. I have gotten all the way to the bottom left corner. And so this is following the bottom of her skirt. And you can see I've started to try and fill in a couple of these little spots, for lack of a better word, that will have orange. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. I've got my dark brown thread, the second length of something that isn't black that's gone into this thing. And we're going to keep filling in to try and get some prettier colors to look at rather than just black all the time. So there we go with finger over the camera. It's hard to do this out on the road, guys. Anyway, so that's where we're at. That's the plan. And I will see you tomorrow. Hopefully with a piece of awesome fabric for next week, Santa's Magic. Talk to you then. Bye. G'day, Flosstube. Monday, May, I don't know, something after work. That's the only important part of this algorithm. Back in the she shed, obviously. Hoping I might actually have a little bit less running around town this week, but not counting on it because the school has its big variety concert this weekend, which means a bucket load of extra practices. So even though I'm down a kid, I'm up an awful lot of running around, I think. We shall see. Hopefully most of that's during the school day and the kids can take care of themselves. So progress on Electra. Oh, put that up. You can see where she's aiming towards. And we've started to get some color in on her. So yesterday I had reached all the way to the right hand point. You can see, well, right hand in the screen, probably left as I look at it. You can see I do have not acres of extra fabric, but enough. I will probably just wrap this around foam core and put a canvas mounting on it eventually. So plenty enough for that kind of finish. This is actually the front of her skirt, so we have the full width of her skirt, and clearly we have some color starting to go in. After so many days of stitching gobloads of black, it is so nice to get a few reds and oranges in there. There is a fair bit more of the design that pokes out, you know, the pumpkin she's holding pokes out beyond the skirt, so it will come out more here, just higher up. So basically all I'm trying to say is I didn't do a cruddy job of centering her. She is centered. So that's where we are up to. As far as where I'm going today, I think I will basically, now that I'm at the bottom, just keep pushing upwards. So alternating between putting in gobloads more black and putting in more colors, and just basically see how much skirt we can fill in. It would be really awesome if by the end of this week I could get most of her skirt in and essentially have her probably just a little bit more than half done for a week's worth of work. That'd be so cool. Whether we get there or not is well up for debate. I hope you can't hear that grinder that's going in the background. That would be my husband. I believe he's working on the caravan. But unfortunately, I don't have a great deal of time to be choosy about when I am filming. So if you can hear it, I'm sorry. The other thing I did yesterday was getting ready for the Santa's Magic Hopeful start next week, because, reminder, this was the second spin. I took the fabric that was meant for pandemic but is the wrong count, cut it to size, and dyed it. So I actually cut both halves, so I have two different pieces. And I think that's the spare one. So, reminder that this is the fabric I was aiming for, which is not got a whole ton of mottling, but is a really nice blue-gray. It does have some very light mottling, but it's very subdued. It was mostly the color I'm after, because that fabric's going to show through as the sleeve of his arm there, that whole big gap the fabric shows through. I don't want insane multicolored psychedelic modeling, because he's not a hippie Santa. I just want to give him a slightly different colored robe. So I ended up with this bigger piece of fabric, and I would suggest my fabric is marginally more mottled, not the least bit ironed, and a little bluer than the original blue-gray. But, you know, for trying to achieve something specific, I'm kind of impressed with my efforts. It's not identical. There's no way it's identical, but it's pretty stinking close, and I think it'll do the job just nicely. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I will iron that out. Probably ought to double check my measurements before I start committing to stitching, because we've had that problem before when I measure it out and cut it and then realize after I've dyed it that it's the wrong size. But, you know, nothing like doing things properly the first time. Anyway, so I have that piece of fabric for Santa's Magic, and I have a spare piece for the stash. Just because once you got the dye out, you might as well do both of them. I think as far as the whisper goes, I will order the whispers to have a go with them, because I'm a glutton for punishment. and there's actually two. There's brown whisper and a white whisper called for in this pattern. There are several Kreinik number 8 braids, which I will go through my stash of Petite Treasure braids and either swap those out for a Petite Treasure braid that I have on hand, or simply just skip around those stitches for the purposes of Maynia. So fingers crossed I can find enough stitches in the middle that I can skip around and get started next week. That's the plan. I still need to photocopy that one and get a book ready to go. But, all right, that's it for today, I think. I will catch you tomorrow, maybe from the beach, because it's sailing day tomorrow. See you there. Bye. G'day, Flosstube. Tuesday, May 11th. Ripping in for another quick beach update before we lose the light here. Got a fair bit of stitching done last night that you'll see, but yeah, today's going to be an abbreviated day because it's almost 6 o'clock now and I'm not even home yet. So we'll get a few minutes stitching while I wait for everybody to pack up their boats. But beyond that, I don't know that we're going to get much. Back in a second with the awesome progress. So we got a fair bit more black in there last night. That's not quite her waistline. I think her waistline is probably up about there. Not far off. Anyway, finished that and then started going back in to finish some of the color, fill in some of the color. My chart that I'd photocopied was pretty blurry in terms of the symbols that were down through this section, so I've had to photocopy a new chart for myself today. So hopefully we can get some more progress and fill in the rest of that skirt. At this point, I'll probably just do color, I think, and move upwards. So, hopefully I'll get something done tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Today, Flosstube, Wednesday. I don't know why I make a pretense of even knowing what the date is. It's Wednesday, close enough. Obviously, back home early today, so hoping we'll get a good stitching night tonight. Didn't do too bad yesterday, considering the fact I was in town till late. Basically, just been doing more fill-in in her skirt. So nearly, I think all of this at the bottom has been finished in, and so I'm just closing that gap where it gets to be bright yellows. I think at this point I'm basically starting to run out of black to fill in, so I'm thinking it's back to black tonight. Yeah, so really stoked with how far she's come along in, you know, just a matter of days. So I will need to have a dig through the called for beads and my stash. Maybe I should do that even before the end of Maynia and start, you know, making plans on what to do with the beads, because you probably see there's quite a lot of little spots where it's no stitches. Those will all be beads in there, and I'm assuming they're all going to be reds and oranges, although I haven't really paid much attention. So yeah, that's where we're at. Hopefully we'll have a very productive night, and tomorrow's Thursday, so I think I should be back. See you then. Bye. Today, Flosstube, Thursday evening, and I think I haven't missed a night at all this week. How good is that? Let's hop right into it. This is where we're up to. So yesterday I did a bit more of the black and I started filling in. So this little starburst pattern, I think there's a fair number of beads in there, but there's a few stitches that are still missing. But we are very quickly running out of the orange in her skirt. So yeah, we got a lot of black in her arm and her pumpkin and all that to fill in yet. But that is amazing progress, I reckon, for just a week. By the time we finish tomorrow, I well and truly think we will be more than halfway done with this piece, which I'm pretty impressed. So hopefully we should get a really good stitching day tomorrow, because it should be my day off. Having said that, I got a mountain of things that I need to do, and work related things that need to get done. So I may end up logging in, trying to knock a few of those off the list. Because goodness knows they're not going to go anywhere before Monday. Life's dramas. But at least I don't have to run the kids into town tomorrow. I got out of that job. So that should equal more stitching time. All right, no worries. I will catch up with you for 24 hours for the last update for this week. And next week, we have a new start. So yeah, hello Flosstube. Friday, which means we are at the last segment for the week. And probably not entirely the final stopping point for Electra, because I will continue to stitch on her this afternoon. But the final you're going to see until next week when I start the next vlog series. So we have got all of the skirt. Look at that. I think there's high probability I've missed a few stitches in around that starburst, but a lot of that is beads. And I have filled up all the way to the top. So I've started with more gobloads of black. I would like to just see the first couple of colors go into her wings, just to see how they look, now that we're up to that far. But yeah, super excited with how far we've gotten with this project for just a week's worth of effort. I think we have well and truly made the halfway mark. I have ordered Delicas to replace the called for Mill Hills. One of them was out of stock, and it was a lovely generic sort of white pearly bead. So I will probably persist and try and find somewhere to order that, but I checked like 2 or 3 stores and it was out of stock. So it may be a case of she has to wait to get beaded till I have all of them, because I don't really like mixing Mill Hills and Delicas in the one piece, because I do think there's an obvious difference in the size and stuff. So I either use all Mill Hills or all Delicas. But can't help it when things are out of stock. So I will have to kind of scout around and see if I can put my hands on those beads. While I was sorting beads, I did make an effort to order some for the Santa's Magic, but again, we had some out of stock issues. We also have the issue that with the color conversion on Santa, I'm not entirely sure which of those beads are meant to match his coat and therefore will need to change versus which are like berries that will stay in their charted color, hopefully. So that was a bit of a just a roll of the dice. We'll see what shows up, and if nothing else, they'll get added to the stash. Similarly, I think I ordered a few of the treasure braids, but most of the treasure braids for Santa's Magic I have scattered around various projects, which actually is a good question. Like one particular treasure braid, like PB73, it was gold. And I'm looking at this going, this number is from Mirabilia. I know this number. I have PB73. Where is it? And I checked all the chatelaines because they're the obvious place once it's not in the master stash. No 73. I'm looking at it going, I know I've got this one. So I checked Maya's Mermaid Enchantress of the Abyss. Nope, no golds in there. I knew all the golds from Celtic Summer had been put away back in the master stash, so it wasn't in there. Finally dawned on me that I had pulled a random gold to use on the Trick or Treat, the Alina Lawson piece, and go figure, there's PV73. So we need to figure out a better way to kind of keep track of which, particularly with the specialties. I'm not too worried about DMC, I'll just go buy another DMC. But with the specialties, you know, I don't want to buy 3 cards when one will do. So yeah, if you guys have any great ideas for how to do that, holler, because I am pretty terrible at anything that requires much effort on my part, i.e. keeping together a catalog system on a phone cross-stitch app. It's just not going to happen because I don't have the patience to sit there and enter that stuff in. So if you have any easy, lazy people suggestions, let me know. Anyway, total sidetrack from Electra. I think she's pretty cool. So I will see you in a week. Well, I'll upload this and you'll see the next upload in a week. I'll be back recording tomorrow, the start of Santa's Magic. See you, Flosstube.